this Sunday at the Tribeca Film Festival. Narrated by Michael Douglas, the film is about today's division and restoring the American dream. americasburningfilm.com.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Let's check in with London and see what they're working on. Hello, London.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm James Menendez. Today on NewsHour, with European elections underway, what's driving the rightward shift in many EU countries? Also, the woman who allegedly inspired the stalker character in the hit Netflix show Baby Reindeer sues the streamer for defamation. That's BBC NewsHour at 9 on WNYC.
.73 with clouds out there as the sun is competing with those clouds this morning to shine. Mostly sunny and 84 for a high today, and then tomorrow and Sunday, sunny near 80 with a slim chance of Sunday showers. It's 8:52.
A blockbuster, but also mixed jobs report.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab, helping people invest in ideas they believe in with Schwab investing themes, with more than 40 themes to choose from. More at schwab.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benashore, in for David Brancaccio. We just learned that the U.S. economy added 272,000 jobs in May. That's a lot stronger than expected, and up 110,000 jobs from the month before. The unemployment rate, though, ticked up to 4%. To help dig through this data, we are joined by Julia Coronado. She's founder and president of Macro Policy Perspectives and a professor at the University of Texas, Austin. Hi, Julia.
Good morning.
So it seems like a good news, not great news situation. Why don't we start with the positive? What do you see there?
Well, on the positive side, we got many more jobs than expected, and it was very broad-based. So we saw most sectors are still hiring. The only sector showing job losses was temporary help, but state and local government, healthcare, manufacturing, construction, just broad-based job gains.
So then what's the downside?
The downside is we have two surveys here. One is saying everything is great, and the other one is saying that unemployment is creeping higher and that actually labor force participation is falling back a bit. So they're just mixed messages from these reports.
Why, by the way, are predictions so off so often these days?
You know, the data collection in a post-pandemic world is really, really difficult. Response rates to surveys are down. Seasonal patterns of economic activity have shifted. So really, we really need to gather as much data as we can to get the full picture.
Julia Coronado, president of Macro Policy Perspectives, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And with that, let's do the numbers. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are all down in the 3 to 0.4% range, with the yield on the 10-year Treasury jumped up 4.427%. One of the fun things about the job report is you can see what kinds of jobs are increasing the most, or less fun, shrinking the most. For example, healthcare gained 68,000 jobs last month. But in one of the hottest sectors, artificial intelligence, there is hardly a data point to guide us. Marketplace's Mitchell Hartman has that.
The jobs report lists tech jobs under a bunch of headings: computing infrastructure, data processing, computer systems design. Notice artificial intelligence isn't one of them.
It is not going to tell us that.
Betsy Stevenson is former chief economist at the Labor Department. She says to find out if AI is impacting other non-tech workers, she'll be watching to see who's gaining or losing ground. For example,
do we see unemployment rates of recent college graduates going up?
Because they're often in jobs requiring computational and analytic skills that AI can do better and faster. Andy Challenger at outplacement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas says he expects increased job displacement in
administrative types of positions, technical writing, going out, pulling together large sets of data.
He says companies faced pushback last year when they started citing AI as a reason for layoffs. Lately, they've been blaming technological updates instead. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.
This week, we have been looking at some of the ways cities are changing to meet the future of how we work and live. A lot of those changes have come as a result of the pandemic and the prevalence of remote work. In some cases, cities are struggling with a so-called real estate doom loop. That's when fewer people work downtown, so therefore fewer people hang out downtown, and then more things close. But it's not all doom and gloom. Karen Chappell is director of the School of Cities at the University of Toronto, which has been tracking how cities are recovering economically. She spoke with my Marketplace colleague, Nova Safo.
In our series, we've explored a number of cities, but especially striking are the problems in St. Louis. It's in the middle of a doom loop, right? How do cities find themselves in such a situation, and how do they get themselves out of it?
I'm generally cautious with the use of the term doom loop because I think it applies to very few cities. Very few cities are so dependent on their commercial tax revenues that they're actually going to have to reduce the level and quality of their services. Yet, St. Louis and a few other cities are really struggling. So I think we need to look to the success stories and learn from those. I think, the Clevelands of the world that have kind of come roaring back, a lot of it due to kind of strategic office to residential conversions, targeted investments, trying to make sure that there's a core or a node of residential, commercial, and entertainment and retail uses where people want to go, and then kind of building up from there.
We're catching you when you're visiting Chicago for another data project, but I'm curious about what you're seeing there because of the office vacancies and the problems in commercial real estate.
So when we look at Chicago, and one of the things we've done recently is compare after work hours activity to work hour activity. And Chicago really stands out because its activity is nearly back to normal. Yet its work hour activity, Monday to Friday, 8 to 6, is around 60%. So it's really struggling to get that workforce back.
And so what does the successful growing city of the future look like?
I think we need to crack the retail nut. So, maybe we didn't need so many big chain drugstores and Targets in downtown, especially the drugstores we're seeing. They are folding right and left. So, what are we going to do with those types of spaces? And how can we just get activity in those storefronts? I think it's going to be really important for cities.
Karen Chappell, director of the School of Cities at the University of Toronto. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Professor Chappell was speaking there with Marketplace's Nova Safo. Our executive producer is Kelly Silvera. Our digital producer is Dylan Mietinen. Our engineers are Jessen Dueller and John Brewington. In New York, I'm Sabri Benishore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.